welcome back to Shall Proceed podcast. Once again, I have an amazing guest, someone we all need to know and I know we'll love, Kay Will. How are you?
Awesome. How are you?
You are a coach, you are a mother, you are an author of not one but two books. You're
Yes.
doing the damn thing. Okay. So,
Yes, ma'am.
I was excited to interview you because you're clearly doing a lot and your life and your brand and who you are seems to be surrounded about uplifting and betterment and encouragement. And I want to ask people, you didn't wake up when you were younger saying, "Hey, I want to be a coach." You didn't say, "I want to help people." When you were younger, tell us a little bit more about you, but also what was your journey to where you are today?
That's an awesome question. When I was younger, I did know that whatever I did would be people oriented. I have always been that person who could talk to anybody, that person who I never met a stranger. Give me 10 minutes and I know your life story. My initial goal, I thought that I would be a nurse. Because I knew that I loved the feeling of making people happy. For a while, I actually went to college and majored in nursing initially. And then then I changed it to social work. Everything that I've ever done has been social service oriented or communications oriented. I'm a licensed cosmetologist. And every job I've ever had has
It's
been
serving others, all about serving others.
Absolutely. And so I knew whatever I would do would be service oriented because, somebody told me once, if you don't do whatever you're supposed to do, life will keep, putting you in that direction. And so being a life coach, or I call myself a transformational life coach, is something that I feel like I was pulled in that direction because I do it for free every day. I do it anyway. I'm that friend everybody calls. I'm that person. And so when I decided to write the book, my very first book on self-care, and I would I was doing my research and doing things like that. I'm like, you know what? I need to do this to the max. I need to really know and hone in on what I'm doing. So I decided to become a life coach.
So let me ask you something though, Kay Will. Let me pause you because see, you're not pumping yourself up enough. You grazing over your fabulousness. Okay, you're grazing over that. You're from Chicago, you're a mom, and I understand the feeling of being the person everyone comes to. That can become exhausting. That can become, because after people forget that you also need someone to turn to.
It's true.
So you've done all these things trying to figure out your purpose, and everything was serving others. So that means you're in service to others. That's what you love to do. And it's true. It really is true that you try to avoid what you were made for, and something always puts you back in it, be it your friends keep coming to you or strangers come to you, and you keep getting put back into that purpose. But I would love to know what happened in your life to make you pivot or pause or say, aha, I can no longer do this. I need to do this. What was that moment like for you?
Well, you know what? That is such an excellent question. There are so many things. My mother passed away, and that in itself was life altering. She literally closed her eyes and it was over. And so that was the first thing that made me say, I will no longer volunteer to do anything that I don't absolutely want to do.
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And so that was the first thing that just made me start to think differently. And then after that, like I said, the self-care in general, self-awareness in general is something that I've always practiced. It has just always been so important to me to be authentic and to truly be myself, and ever changing, because as I change, as we all change, you have to rediscover who that is again. And so that has been something that was important to me. So I think it's just a whole variety of little things that catapulted me into knowing that service, being in the act of service was something for me. I will say this, based on what you said earlier, it is a job, and it is one of those things like the tears of a clown, because when you're a strong person, people don't assume, or people don't even think about the fact that doctors need doctors, lawyers need lawyers, coaches need coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think about that aspect of it. All they think about is what their need is, because as a people, we are innately selfish. But a
Yes.
lot of us are selfish and not self-aware. Hence, why we need the life coaches and the
I
therapists.
have been saying that for the longest. I was talking to some, I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was
Mm-hmm.
saying we are naturally selfish.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
takes thought and
Mm-hmm.
true
Mm-hmm.
pausing to not be selfish.
Yes.
And no one wakes up one day as not selfish. You just have
Yes.
to really know how to shift it. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a give and take in life, but some people forget how to give. They always take and take.
Yes.
And yet you may forget to speak up for yourself. You may forget
Mm-hmm.
to, and people forget you need. I can
Yes.
relate to, my mom passed away, and that's when my life totally was like, life
Yes.
after that. That's my
Mm-hmm.
new birth date. You know what I
It's
mean? So then
true.
it was
Oh,
like,
yes.
oh, I'm done. Okay.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
I can
Yes.
no longer always be available. I can no longer always be the one. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still there. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still here for you. But
Mm-hmm.
when the door closes and the shop is done and the office is, I'm done. I'm done.
I
I'm not
literally,
coming if I don't want to come. I'm not listening if I don't want to listen. It's a new, it's a nice little shift.
it is. And you know what? I want to speak to that because, it is a thing. And it's something that until you just said that, I didn't think we had our mothers passed away coalition, but I'm sure there's a lot of people who feel like that,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't until she passed away that I had to discover who I was. But, myself, because my mother was my support system. All in one person, I lost everything. And so it wasn't until then that I'm like, wait a minute, who am I? I still am somebody's mother. My son was 4 when she passed away. I'm still somebody's mother. How do I do this thing?
Yeah.
I was 30 when my mom passed. What do I do? And I didn't write my first book until last year. And I've been writing since high school.
I know you
But
said you read poetry, over 100 or some poems. You do all, yeah.
and so I didn't realize what was in me until that traumatic thing happened. And so, sometimes it does take, of traumatic things, or people say that people who write songs do their best work after something traumatic happens.
Right.
And I kind of think it's true based on the fact that I've written 2 books in 6 months, because it is really it's a driving force.
Would you say though that it's not that you do your best work? I think a lot of us who have experienced tragedy, because my mom also was my number one cheerleader. That was my girl. My
Yeah,
dad, my siblings, that's one thing, but my mom was the one that if
yes,
anything amazing happened, I'm telling her. She was
that's
right
right.
there, like, I'm proud of you. All of those
Mhm.
things. So
Yep.
for me, it's hard to celebrate myself
Oh my
because
goodness.
I still don't do it well. I still downplay a lot of things, and it's hard for me to be totally happy with what I've accomplished,
Mhm.
because the person that was there, who was the one I would look to, like, you see that,
Yep.
is no longer there, and it's
Mhm.
it's difficult. It's
No, it's
difficult
the
because I
thing.
have to tell myself though, she prayed too hard and long before I was
Mhm.
here, and after I was here,
Mhm.
for me to just to swindle away
Mhm.
the blessing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I know that she's enjoying it, but it's really,
Mhm.
really difficult. It's really difficult.
I Listen to me. I can relate more than you know. I had a birthday and published a book the same day.
I
Um,
know. I
Tuesday.
know.
And so I'm saying that to say, even when I started this interview, I am still like that. She passed in 2011. I'm still like that.
Mhm.
And that's why I do everything self-care oriented and self-awareness oriented, because outside of being a coach, I'm still a person and a human being. And, if nothing else, I can teach you how to make it and how to climb like I'm climbing, because we're all doing this thing at once, because I'm still like that. Literally, when people celebrate me or when I'm saying things that I'm doing, as you can see, I have a real laid back demeanor, and everybody's like, what? You did what? You know what I mean? And I'm like, yep, did that on this day. It was really nonchalant. And so that is something that I'm working on, because it's very different.
And it's hard to work on that, right? Because, being of service to others and trying to help them get on the right path, you got to worry about your wellness as well. So I definitely want to talk about second chance life coaching. I want to discuss your coaching, your business, what you do. Now you've taken your God-given gift and you're now like, hey, no longer am I doing this for free. I love y'all, but listen. Run through my coins.
Yes, ma'am.
So talk to me about second chance life coaching.
Well,
when did you start?
I started second chance life coaching last year. And since then I've been focused on my books, but the clients have come along as I'm, focused on my books. And I can truly say this is what I'm supposed to do, because, it is almost amazing. It's like a mirror as I'm helping people through, and everybody's case is different, but my goal, my overall goal in working with clients is to get them to become the best version of themselves, whatever that looks like for each individual. And so we focus on self-awareness. That is our number one focus. Focus on intentional self-care and being able to maintain that long after coaching. And so it is something that I'm so proud of, because, the clients that I have served since starting are making huge strides in reference to just their innate self-care. Because what we don't realize is, if we don't take care of ourselves, then we can't adequately take care of everybody else the way that we want to. And self-care is not just a woman thing. It is men. I'm working with a teenager. Self-care is something that everybody needs to understand the magnitude of. And to be honest, I wish that I had a coach when I was a teenager, to navigate through that thing called puberty and that thing called life, and just really have a focal point on leadership. And so I really am excited about it, because it's almost like I sit in the audience of myself, because I say this all the time. A lot of times when I'm speaking to people, I don't know where that came from. I'll say it. I say it all the time. And I'm so grateful at the reaction that I get from my clients. Or they'll say, in a follow-up call, they'll say, this one thing that you said made such a huge difference. Or, with our exercises, this thing that I'm doing is making such a huge difference. Because you don't even pay attention to how one thing that you can do for you on a regular basis, how that will change your mindset, how that'll change your physical well-being, your mental well-being. It is just, I am in the industry and I am the coach, but I'm always in awe of how, one little small thing or one encouraging word or one positive email can affect a person.
Let me ask you, so you're in the industry of taking care of others. It's been your purpose all your life. You are now using that purpose to now make it your livelihood and to help and still help others. How do you maintain your own self-care and wellness?
Well, I have a life coach.
Okay.
And so, I say this all the time. Doctors need doctors, lawyers need lawyers, and life coaches need life coaches. And she didn't get hired voluntarily. She's actually someone who I know in one of my writing groups, and she's a life coach. And I didn't choose her. I feel like she chose me
Oh,
because
okay.
she pays attention to me. You know, I talk to her regularly because of my writing, and she'll say in a minute, okay, Kieasha, get your pad and paper. I'm about to life coach you, because I don't notice that I need it. And, you know, like you said, we all need it. We all need someone to say, hey, you know, slow down, pay attention. Oh, celebrate. This is the moment where you celebrate you. I have to hear it as well. And so that's what I do. I talk to her, or, you know, I have, outside of her, I do have a friend who I could talk to, but you definitely need, I don't care how strong you are and who you need some kind of support system to be able to stay mentally sound.
How was 2020 for you, life coaching? Because, you know, 2020, I mean, it's a carryover, it's a conversation, but we all
Absolutely.
had to pivot, we had to adjust how we do things. And
Mm-hmm.
in therapy and coaching, is usually we are in the room together one-on-one, either
Mm-hmm.
we're holding hands, having contact, we're talking. How was it for you connecting with your clients, with your clients, and also with your own life
Mm-hmm.
coach? How did you handle that?
Well, here's the thing, because I started early 2020, everything that I did for the most part was virtual anyway.
Okay.
What I will say is um, the dynamic changed. You know, it wasn't as much, the things weren't as frivolous. Initially, when people would contact me with regard to life coaching, it was small feats, you know, but 2020 brought out anxiety, depression, so many other
And it's
things.
still there. It's still lingering.
And here's the thing, it's going to be here for a while, because once it's brought out, then you have to deal with it. And a lot of people are trying to, you know, work it away or eat it away or drink it away. And the reality is that emotion is that emotion, and it's raw and it's open. And until you deal with it, it won't heal. And so um, I said all of that to say, you know, it's a lot more intensive with regard to, you know, some people I've had to, you know, refer them to counseling because I am a life coach. It is my job to give you the tools to do something yourself. Some people need consistent counseling because 2020 was rough. 2021 is rough.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the job of a coach is to almost like dig in the dirt and find what you already have. And so for some people, I've had to say, listen, there's only so much that as a coach I'm equipped to be able to do. But, you know, people are definitely out there hurting. They are definitely out there in search of some kind of answers. Mental illness has been definitely highlighted in 2020 and 2021 as well. And it's, you know, it's a huge job for anybody in counseling, psychiatry. It's a huge job because I from experience, you know, there are issues coming out of the woodwork because of the pandemic.
And I appreciate you acknowledging the limitations, and not saying that you're limited, but there's life coaching is not therapy.
No, it's not.
Life coaching is not, and some people blur the lines and
Mm-hmm.
don't understand a life coach
Mm-hmm.
cannot give you the tools that a therapist can.
No.
You need to see a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and probably then, once you start working through the trauma, the issues, what's going on with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're ready to go, let me coach you through and be your cheerleader, and let me show you what you're not seeing. Some
Mm-hmm.
people don't understand that, and some life coaches don't understand that, and that drives me crazy. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say,
No,
well, it drives me crazy.
and here's the thing. I just believe that's a part of authenticity as well. I
Mhm.
believe in knowing your role. And the reality is, and also not blurring the lines. The reality is that, yes, I am an excellent cheerleader. I am the tough lover. I will hop in your inbox and your email and tell you, you know, and give you what you need. But I am not that person that can provide you with a prescription because you are battling consistent depression. And so sometimes people need a life coach as well as a counselor. Now you can, team those two up. It's no different than people who want to do natural medicine, but you still need to go to the doctor. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the same difference. It's a good tag team. It's awesome to have both, but at the same time, there are certain things, like I said, my job is to bring out of you what you already have anyway. And I'm not a counselor. And so if there are things like for trauma, past trauma, you mentioned that, there are things that a therapist can do, tools that they have in order for you to deal with that trauma and address it. No, you never get over it, but there are things that they can do to help you through that.
Right. And work you through. So, because those things can really hold you back.
Absolutely. I mean, every day. And here's the thing. That is one thing with coaching and counseling that is actually simultaneous. The one thing that is the same is when you come to either of us, we're going to ask you about your past and about your childhood, because sometimes that lays the foundation for everything. Most of the time, the experiences that you've had are the reason that you are who you are in this moment. And so that's the one thing that we're both going to find out. The only difference is I can help you to become the best version of you as you are right now. And they could address those past issues. You know what I mean?
Right. And I love that you have the quote, in order to have self-awareness, you have to actually know who you are. And that's key. That's so important. And so many of us, I can honestly say, I didn't figure out who I was until after my mom passed away. And my mom passed away in 2014. I was like, oh, no, you know what? I'm wrong. I knew who I was when I moved away from everyone who knew me. When I lived somewhere where no one knew me, they didn't know my family, and I had to walk in life and not worry about someone saying, aren't you so-and-so sister? Aren't you so-and-so daughter? I'm like, oh, they're meeting me with no preconceived notions, anything like that. I loved it. And I came back different. I came back real like, no, I'm not doing that. And it became, I had to grow into my womanhood, and honestly, we grow each year of our lives, right? And we change, and everything happens in life will change you. 2020 has changed each and every one of us, either for the better or for the worse. But we cannot say we came out of 2020 the same person.
It's impossible. It's a virtual improbability.
There's no way. Not possible.
Yes, there's no way that you can experience that, because that is trauma.
That is trauma. Absolutely.
Nobody was extinct from this pandemic. So you got our teenagers who are stuck at home. You got the little kids trying to figure out how to do a Zoom class. You have the adults who have spent the married couples who spent their whole marriage crossing paths, and now they're stuck together all day. A traumatic experience for every human being. So, and I wanted to go back to something you said. You said you had to, rediscover who you were and walk in your womanhood. And I also want to piggyback that, because we literally, another thing, I say this in my life coaching, as well as, when I'm having idle conversation, we literally become somebody new almost every year. Because there have been experiences. You lost a job, you got stronger, you had a bad breakup, you became resilient. We literally are ever changing. And so that's why I always say self-care is something that is a consistent thing, something you have to do consistently, because you can have a bad breakup or a divorce, and that version of you dies.
Right.
So you have to become somebody who's not that person's wife, somebody who's, your children go away to college. You have to become somebody who's not that consistent mom.
Right.
You're still going to be a mom, but you're not that same woman anymore.
And you got to find out who that new person is going to be.
You have to rediscover you almost at least every year, but I say daily rediscover you, but at least once a year, you have to do, I call it an emotional autopsy, and just really figure out who you are. Who am I? And sit in that, flaws and all, And that is what it is. Who am I? What do I want? What do I like? What do I dislike? Set boundaries. Understand that no is a complete sentence. There are so many things that just getting older and getting wiser has helped me with. And so I definitely try to spread that word everywhere I go.
So you have had your life changes. You have walked into who you are. You're working your purpose,
Mm-hmm.
second chance life coaching,
Mm-hmm.
transformational life coaching.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
now you've taken on another task of becoming an author. And
Yes.
your first book, 30
Mm-hmm.
Days of Different Ways to Love Me. Now, talk to us about what made you say, I need to write this book.
Okay, so initially when I wrote 30 Days of Different Ways to Love Me, it started off as my best friend and I doing a 30-day fast for women. And so we decided to do an itemized list of 30 different self-care tasks. So it was today, go and smell the roses, tomorrow do this, or the next day do that. And so we decided to do that. And one of my friends at work, she asked me could she do it as well. So when I let her do it, she said, you know what, you guys should make it into a book. I told my best friend, I was excited, hey, let's make this a book. And my best friend was like, no thanks, you got that. And so I took it on. I decided to go ahead and attack it with force. I decided to go ahead and do it, added more to it. My best friend still is my biggest support system. We added more to it. Um, you know, uh, I wanted to do, because the book is more like I call it a 30-day fast, but we basically give you different things to do and reflection. So it's more of it's like homework, self-care homework. And so I'm so excited that I did it though, because once I did it, I really understood how very important self-care was for me. I could do an interview and never have a question, never have because I could talk about this all day, every day. It's something that comes so naturally to me. And so that in essence though is the story of where that book came from.
I love that you're saying the purpose of the book is to force you to be intentional
That's
about
right.
taking time for yourself, which is hard to do. That's
Mm-hmm.
hard to do, right? Being intentional,
Yes,
intentionally taking time, because we carry so much guilt when it comes
we do.
to thinking of ourselves, because we're taught to be selfless, because you have
Yes.
to teach that, right? And then when you
Yes.
do it, oh, how dare
Yes.
I?
Yes.
And also loving, taking time for yourself and loving yourself first, which is really hard as well, because I think so many of us do not realize we do not love ourselves the way we should.
No, we
And
do
then
not.
we seek outside validation to tell us our worth, our value, and how to love ourselves, when you should already know and have that feeling automatically.
That's right. It needs to be your foundation. That's what
Mhm.
I like to say. If you become acclimated with putting you first, filling a moment out. People say your instinct or your gut feeling. If you train yourself that your gut feeling is to practice self-preservation, then a lot of things that we endure and go through, we would experience them differently,
Mhm.
because that self-care and that self-love is our foundation. And so it's something that you have to, that's why I said intentional. You have to be intentional, because I am not obsolete. I'm a single mom and I have a teenage son. So I literally go through the same thing where I'll second guess myself when it comes to doing something for me, because I'll say, uh, didn't he need some gym shoes, or didn't he need, I do it constantly. And I have to force myself to just remember, hey, you have needs and wants too. And it's okay to do for you. He is definitely not lacking, like most moms, most, sisters, most givers. Um, the people that we love are usually not lacking in anything, because we provide, that for them. So
Right.
we're usually the ones that lack because we don't provide the same for ourselves.
With all of that, because it's a big task to take on writing and putting it into a book. Everyone can't do it. I mean, that's just honesty.
Yeah.
Everyone doesn't have that talent
Yeah.
or the ability to focus and do that. And I appreciate you. See, but you didn't stop there. You was like, no, I need to do some more stuff. I need to do more writing. I have more to say. And you recently had a birthday. Happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you.
But you took it upon yourself to also now publish another book.
Yes.
And this book is called Me Time.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about me time.
Okay, so Me Time is a 90-day planner. And so the reason that I decided to do that is because I had already written 30 Days of Different Ways to Love Me. And as I was doing interviews and talking about it, I felt like, people need something that is, to me, is more interactive, enables them to be a lot more intentional. Me Time has a spiritual and a financial portion as well, because self-care does not only consist of what we do to ourselves. I mean, what we do with regard to ourselves. Well, it also consists of how we handle our spirituality. Self-care is definitely financial literacy. And so I wanted it to be where we had a little more time. And so I did the planner. I wanted to also do something interactive. So it's just like any other planner where there are checklists, there's areas where you can write down your thoughts. I put a lot of reflection pages in there. I put a quote in there for each of the 12 weeks. And I wanted it to be something that, just like 30 Days of Different Ways to Love Me, where you're intentional. This is my planner. I am doing these things. There's a different exercise for you to focus on for each of the 12 weeks where you're intentional. Right. And, now more than ever, we need that. We need a tool. I wanted it to be a self-care tool. And so I heard you when you said, everybody can't do that. I am one of those people that I'm like a dog with a bone. When I decide, the gotcha to it is getting to the point where I decide. But once I decide to do something, then I have to see it through. Right. And so, and that book was literally published on my birthday as well. And so I had to see it through.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's amazing. So second chance second chance coaching. 30 days of a different way to
love me.
30 days of different ways to love me. Yes. And now Me Time. You on a roll. You are on a roll. You just doing it. Look at you. Looking like you look, girl. Look at you.
I am definitely trying. Like I said, I'm just realizing it's I'm not gonna say it's easy to do because I'm still somebody's mom. I still have a life, but it is so important to me to get those tools out there. I don't want there to be an excuse. A lot of us say, well, I don't really know where to get started outside of going to the spa or, getting my nails done or getting my hair done. What does self-care look like? What should I be doing? And yeah, you can Google it, but I wanted to at least be able to give them something to put their hands on. I have this thing and I'm having a rough day. Let me go to chapter 2. You know what I mean? Because we all need it. We need it. We need some kind of guide sometimes to kind of get us motivated to do things.
Well, it is truly a pleasure, Kay Hill. You are amazing. You are doing amazing big things.
Thank you.
Especially in the wellness category, because we all slip and we don't know what to do with ourselves. We don't know how to take care of ourselves. We can take care of other people. That's easy. Absolutely. But to sit down and say, 1, I need to take care of myself. 2, am I living and working in my purpose? Because clearly I'm not. If you keep getting thrown in a direction, it's probably telling you something, and you are helping people do that. And I really say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say I will make sure I order all your books.
Thanks.
I'll read all your books. I'll have all my friends order all your books. I'll make sure that there are links in the description to find your books. I know it's going to be informative and needed and truly appreciated. Okay, Will, I say thank you. I'm excited. I want to say thank you for being on and sharing your life and sharing who you are. Your energy is amazing. I love it. And just know you're always welcome to come on this show. So come on anytime. We can talk.
I'll be back next book.
Hey, listen, you have my email.
I'll be back.
Before I let you go, tell everywhere where we can find you.
Okay, so on Facebook, I'm Kieasha Hill. It's Kieasha Hill, Hill. I also have a business page on Facebook, which is kwill30days-to-love-me.com. On Instagram, I am at kwill30days-to-love-me. My website is kwill30days-to-love-me.com. My life coaching website is secondchancelifecoaching.com. 30 Days to Love Me, 30 Days of Different Ways to Love Me is available on my website as well as Amazon, and Me Time is available on Amazon and Lulu.
Look at you. Look at you. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You are always welcome.
I'll be back.